I thought this was really interesting and wanted to get your thoughts, man. The Big 12 is partnering with the NFL to launch Big 12 Pro Day, and that's coming in 2024. So here are the details. It is the first ever conference-wide pro day to take place. Going to be at the Star in Frisco. Sounds like they'll do medical evaluations on the guys, clearly all the skill assessment stuff, the testing stuff on the field. The on-field workouts will not be open to the public, but it's going to be broadcast on NFL Network. There's going to be some fun fan fest stuff outside of the event, VIP appearances, fan engagement experiences. What a term. And this is going to replace on-campus pro days in the Big 12 Conference. What do you think?
I think it's awesome, and it is so simple that I'm shocked it's just now being done. Right? It's you think that the content is king. That's what everyone's trying to punch out. NFL Network loves the combine. People just eat that stuff up, watching guys run 40s and do bench press and whatever. So I think it's just a really easy, natural way to generate some revenue and continue to highlight your conference. I think it's awesome. I think it's genius, and it's really natural. I love the fan engagement experiences, which is code for fans tearing hamstrings trying to run 40s, right? Is that what that is? But I think it's awesome. It's seems like the easiest home run you could ever hit.
Yeah, and I think it's another win for Brett Yormark, right? I mean, that guy continues to stack wins for the Big 12 Conference ever since he's taken over. I think this is another step in the right direction for them to build the brand of the Big 12. I will not be surprised when a bunch of other conferences copy this. And Yormark's doing a really good job, and he's going to make the conference more money with this deal. I got to imagine that NFL Network's excited to have some more live programming that people are going to tune into, man. So it seems like a good financial win for the Big 12. And we have to assume OU is going to participate in this in 2024, right? Because remember, they don't make the transition to the SEC until the summer of 2024, technically. So I
Yeah.
would imagine OU is going to be involved in this.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. So does this mean that teams are no longer going to hold their own pro days at all? Like those are eliminated? Or is this just an extra one that players can go and get in front of everyone?
So in the press release, it said this is going to replace and like magnify or something like that on campus pro days. So I read that as I interpreted that as saying like, OU's on pro day is no longer going to be a thing. We're getting everyone together
That's
and we're
interesting.
doing it in Frisco, which is interesting because I think there's pros and cons to
Well,
that.
I think it's great for like non-combine guys,
Right.
but like like take Eric Gray for example. He didn't run the 40. You can come back and run the 40 kind of on your terms, on your turf, where you're a little more comfortable. Um, I there's not going to be guys that are skipping the combine in Indy to go run at the combine in Dallas. At least I wouldn't think. I guess maybe that could happen, but that doesn't seem. It kind of almost defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah, I think the timing of this will be interesting because you're going to have to work around, obviously, going to have to work around the NFL Combine. I would assume you're going to have to work around spring ball and spring games a little bit because you got to assume they'll want head coaches and the coaching staffs to be able to come to this event, right? Those guys are kind of the face of the league, right?
Yeah.
You want Sonny Dykes and those type of guys being there. I got to assume. So I wonder where it's going to fit in the timeline, but I mean, with the combine in February and then the draft in April, typically there's a lot of spring ball in between that. So I don't know exactly where this fits in the calendar. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that makes sense. Um, and I don't know. You're going to have a bunch of teams in the conference, and I don't know. You're talking about it's a big undertaking.
Right.
Like pro day now is on campus, and they busted out they start at like 8 a.m. and they're done usually by noon or 1 o'clock. And university provides lunch. Everyone goes in there, eats lunch, and then they're gone. Now you start talking bringing in 12 teams, with however many players each. It that all of a sudden turns into a massive production.
That's why when I saw this, one of my top questions was, okay, who can come and participate? Is like, do you have to have played a certain number of snaps?
Right.
Because one of the things, and it just is what it is, but one of the things at pro days is there are guys that are participating that are never even going to come close to an NFL field. The walk-ons, like if they want to go through it, they'll let them go through it. Guys that maybe have been cut by NFL teams the previous year and haven't landed anywhere, like they will come and try to get in front of teams.
And
So
even like even so what's the story? Like you could go to Oklahoma's pro day if you're from the area but went to school somewhere else, right?
I
You have to have lived like within however many miles of it to be able to do it. You see that happen every now and then, or at least you
right.
used to see it. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's where I want some more details. Right. I want to know, hey, is the Big 12 and the NFL, like, are they handling all the travel expenses and hotel expenses? I would assume so, but that was one of my initial reactions, right? When will it fall in the calendar? Is it going to be a multi-day event, or are they jamming this all into one day, right? When you're talking about 12, or in next year, I guess it's 14 teams if OU and Texas participate, which I have my doubts that they'll participate, but I I have some questions, but ultimately I think it's a good thing because the point of pro day is to get in front of as many decision makers in the NFL as possible. And if you get all these guys in one location, and some guys will be combine guys, some guys won't, like, you have to assume a lot of NFL teams are going to show up. You would assume someone from every NFL team would show up. And that's the whole point. You want to be seen by the decision makers, or at least someone. So it feels like a great thing for prospects coming out trying to get drafted.
Would you like a quick I've developed over the course of this conversation a quick conspiracy theory.
Oh,
Would you like to
hell
hear it?
yes. You know I love a Lehman conspiracy. Come on.
What did DeMaurice Smith say recently?
Ah, NFLPA trying to get rid of the combine.
Why have one combine whenever you can have five on the NFL network? Big, like all the Power Five conferences have their own combines because that's way more content than just 1 week long event.
I think you I think you're on to something. That's where we're
And
headed, aren't we?
it seems like that. Like if you're eliminating the home like pro day for like the Big 12, and I don't know if they're bound by this, like they have to go to it if you're in the conference. Like I don't know. Just as I was thinking about it, I was like, this is interesting timing that we've kind of heard people start to float. Do we really need to have the NFL combines? I don't know.
How about this? You keep the combine and then you just add the other five and
Yeah,
you have six
yeah.
and you have all the content you want. That I think that's certainly an interesting point. One thing that I really enjoyed about the combine And because this is basically just a mini combine, right? That's the way that I am interpreting what the Big 12 is
Yeah.
trying to accomplish here. One of the cool things about the combine is you've got guys in your group. Maybe you don't know them that well, but you've got to know them over the first couple days. And then there's a little sense of competition, right?
Yeah.
Like you against, I'm sure that's how it felt, you against the other backers. I know certainly that's the way it felt, me and the other O lineman. Like, I'll never forget, Joel Bitonio ran a really good short shuttle. I beat his time and I yelled as loud as I could, "Suck it, Joel," there in Indy. And like everyone looked, and like it was fun. There was like that competitiveness. There was a little competitive juice with that. And I think this whole setup for all the Big 12 guys, like, I think that'll create a little competitive juice. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, especially you know those guys a little bit more.
Yeah, you
So
played them.
I think that's interesting. It is like the only other thing that I can think of that is a negative, and it's not really that big of a negative, especially if they like this would only be if they didn't continue to have the NFL combine, would be like it's just kind of like it's a notch to be able to be invited and go take part in the combine, right? So but like that's a very small thing, but all in all, I think it's smart. I think it's depending on if it's run well and how it comes across on television. I think it's more opportunity to sell revenue.
I do think one of, like, when I read it, the biggest, like in the con category, the biggest con for me was if this makes OU Pro Day go away, it it's kind of a bummer because that's a fun day to catch up with a bunch of guys,
Yeah,
right?
that
Like
is.
whether it's former players, the guys going through the pro day, current players that are watching them go through. It's, I don't know, it's like a little get together
It is. Yeah.
for it. You just feel that brotherhood a little bit, and I will be sad if that is gone.
I mean, and there's some memorable things that happen there, right? Like I was there watching Sam Bradford
My God.
throw at that. That was just like that was amazing to watch that, and just to see some different top players come through, and you see all the coaches and the big wigs in the NFL shuffle through the doors, and it turns into a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. The last thought I have on it, I do like the fact that you do this, it's on NFL Network, like the NFL Network crew that works the combine in the Big 12's press release said the NFL Network, like, talent is going to be there broadcasting everything. Like, it creates a very stressful environment
Yeah.
for the guys that are going to participate. And you and I talk about it a lot. Pro day back on your campus, back where you've worked out hundreds, maybe thousands of times, right? You feel this sense of comfort. You ain't going to feel that at this. You're going to feel the stress. And bottom line, man, if you can't handle it, maybe the NFL ain't for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the variables at the NFL Combine are massive, and whenever you have pro day at your school, you can eliminate a bunch of variables: the bed you sleep in, the food you eat. Like, just there's so many things that you can eliminate. But this puts you right back to square one. Right? It's not going to be any better to dodge the NFL Combine to go to your conference combine. In fact, you could probably make a really easy case that the conference combine may be more difficult because there's going to be way more people there, and who knows how smoothly it operates.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to find someone. I don't know who, but let's try to get on this NFL Network broadcast. Come on. That'd be fun, dude. We
Yeah, it would.
we know we know the conference really well.
Yeah.
Should I just send them clips? Just start cold, like, what's the cold calling equivalent of emailing? Is that cold emailing?
Maybe one day we should just put on the old combine like last year's scouting or just some random year and just start calling that.
Just break it down.
Yeah. And send that in as a clip.
NFL Network. Put us on the broadcast,
Well,
baby.
what are we doing?
I'll just send them clips. I'll send them clips of the podcast. They'll say yes immediately. I mean, come on.
Money.